morning and welcome back to Weekend Express. Time now for that book review promised earlier. And in studio with us is author Babio Newton, the author of the book The Raila Conspiracy, a book that will be launched on the 27th of June. That is later this month. And Babio joins us here in studio. It is a book that has caused quite a bit of furor really on social media, a lot of reactions coming in. So we'll be speaking to him to get his inspiration for this book. Many thanks for joining us in studio.
Thank you.
But first of all, if you don't mind, how old are you?
I'm 25.
You're 25 years old. Yeah. And you wrote a book on the Raila conspiracy, the ins and outs of his political journey.
Yes.
Tell us more about you.
My name is Babio Newton. I'm a Kenyan citizen. I'm just somebody who wants to do things differently. I am willing to go in where people fear to go to and do something very constructive and very intelligent. In that way, I decided to take, my first book was actually called The Betrayed Nation. Then this is my second book. Before I wrote this book, I did a lot of research. I wanted to write about Tom Mboya. I felt like there was a lot of scarcity of information about him. I felt I wanted to write about Jomo Kenyatta. I felt it has been done. Then I say, why can I write about this, one of the biggest political personality in post-independent Kenya, Raila Odinga?
Who also has quite a few publications about him as well, so why him?
You know, story about Raila is very unique because when you are narrating Kenyan history, you are narrating his father. And then when you are narrating post-independent Kenyan, post-multipartyism history, you are now narrating Raila Odinga. Is like pre and post. You are narrating a story of one family. All
right. How objective is your standpoint in this book? I mean, just looking at the topic, the Raila conspiracy, secrets behind denying him the Kenyan presidency. What gives you insight into the details, the facts going into this book? 700 pages.
Exactly. You know, writing a book is a process. It's not something you just wake up one day and then you write a book. I wrote this book for 4 years.
So you began when you were 21?
Yeah, I've been walking around here, around there. I wrote my first book when I was in high school and became a hit 2 years later, The Betrayed Nation.
Right.
I wrote this book, you know, sometimes in 2013 I started writing this book. When I researched this book, when I wanted to write this book, I first researched. I researched and I wanted to know the angle of the story that I had to write, which is different from other people.
Now, how different is your angle from others?
I'm only writing Raila's life, political life and election, detention, and there are some few things which people have never seen. Have you ever seen the letters Raila used to write to his family when he was in detention,
so those
fearing that he
was
going to be crushed
those
in 1982?
Are in this book?
Yes.
Where did you get those?
You know, because I've signed a non-disclosure with the information I have there, I don't think that it's going to be very intelligent to disclose that. But let me say this. The information that is in this book, some people, as Wamalwa said, that when it comes to, the late Wamalwa said, that when it comes to Raila's issue, you either be Raila phobia or Raila mania. I tried to be at the middle, but at some point, I had to give credit where it belongs. Raila deserves a credit.
All right.
He's a human being. He has had his weaknesses and strengths. The information that in that book, people have a lot of opinion about them. Some people are scared. This guy he's just taking one
angle, yes.
One angle
because
story.
It doesn't seem very objective. But then it is a biography. Talk to us about your experiences in the past 4 years writing this book, because I understand that it was forwarded by Raila Odinga himself, and the preface was written with one Morgan Changirai. How did you manage all that?
These are very interesting. This was a very interesting process. Raila is a very easy person being around. Every time when I wanted to interview him or ask him few things, about his personal life, he was always available. So one thing that I know, and I would like to tell viewers outside there and readers outside there, writing this book was a very interesting, and it gave me a very interesting experience that many young people, you know, but now that is here, we have to deal with it. If there is anybody who feels that my opinion is different with his, we are discouraging the culture of throwing stones in 21st century.
Who is your target audience?
My target audience is all Kenyans who, you know one thing, Michelle, in last election, when I was reading Kenyan history, I've realized that we've never had a free and fair election. In 1992, the election was rigged. In 1997, the election was rigged. In 2002, election was rigged.
Are you speaking on the basis of facts?
I'm speaking on the basis of fact. Why should we keep quiet and play angel, and then after 2017 election is rigged, the country is burning, then we say, I wish I said. I'm saying it right now. The details that is, I don't want to read for my audience, but I'm feeling that this civilized society, we should discourage violence, but use intellectual abilities to communicate, to put our facts. This is my fact. If someone wants to challenge me, he should also put his facts and tell me, this one, it didn't happen like this. I feel it happened like this.
As an author, before you write a book, everything has to be well thought out, including what impact you want the book to leave from whoever reads it, from your readers. So what impact are you expecting this book to have? Of course, it hasn't been launched yet, 27th of June yet to come. But what is the reader expected to get from this?
Michelle, you know, George Orwell says that at the time of adversary, telling truth is considered a revolutionary act. There is a lot of feeling when people just see Raila's image on the cover, feeling starts. I know the response is, I can predict, even from the comments that I see on the Facebook, YouTube. Everyone, when you're discussing politics in Kenya, people don't listen to you. They only listen to answer. I am ready to clarify the details that some of guys have told me are so controversial in that book. But what I want to encourage them, they should buy the book and read it. And they should only ask me questions after they've read the book.
All right. And we're still asking the credibility of the opinions that you have here, because expressing your opinion really is your right, but the credibility in terms of the sources that you got the past 4 years, I mean, why should anybody buy this book?
The reason why Kenyans should buy this book is because I'm feeling I'm telling a story that Kenyans...
Raila Odinga's story has been told time and again.
I know that. You know what? When I was in primary school, I read Badejo's, when I was in primary school, class 8, I read Badejo's book, and I felt that even though Badejo has done a book, there is so many things that he has not done.
All right.
I read Sarah Eldekin's book, Flames of Freedom, and I felt that book was so much on family. This book answers the question, why is it Raila is one of the best politicians in this country? He attracts the highest crowd. He's one of the most selling news items. But he has never won the election. Why?
Now, that being said, many questions are being asked, even on social media. I mean, especially the fact that you're launching the book now, very few days to general election. I mean, is this just a money-minting process?
Can I ask you, Michelle, can I be an angel to predict 4 years ago that Raila was going to stay for... You know, 4 years ago when Raila was rigged out in 2013 election, and I'm saying that fearlessly, nobody knew that Raila would have even a chance to be nominated as a presidential candidate. So will I be an angel to predict 4 years ago that Raila will be a presidential candidate and will win the 2017 election?
All right. All right. Let's move away from that now. Focus, the fact that you've been an author for quite a while. Like you mentioned, this is not your first book. You're going to have another project you told me about. After this, we'll get into that. But what has your experience been as an author in the country in terms of the reading trends in the country? Somebody once said, if you want to hide something from a Kenyan, hide it in a book.
I think that is a philosophy of Afro-pessimists. People who have never recognized that Africans too have their own intelligence. I believe that even the English we are speaking right now, we read somewhere. As long as Kenyans, people outside there, everybody who knows how to read and write is interested, human being has something which is always telling them that this is a good thing. You can't, when I get my friends, their vehicles at least 5 or 6 books. If you ask somebody, what did you read last week, he'll tell you, I read this, I read this. People read in Kenya, and that's why we have newspapers they are selling. Nobody buys newspaper and then see it like this, and then confirm whether it's President Kenyatta's face or Raila's face, and then say, oh, I've seen it, let me keep it. So people read, and right now, let me just tell you something. People have been calling, we've sold, there's a lot, that is something that I'm not dealing with. Professionally, I am willing to bring a constructive discussion to Kenyans.
All right.
Are we going to have a free and fair election, or are we going to do a replication of what we saw in 2007? This is the point. If we are not careful with the way things are happening, you've seen there's a lot of issues surrounding the preparation of election, and we are only having more than like 4 weeks to election. If we continue like this, somebody doesn't speak about it. We need people to speak about it, whether states people, activists, so that this election can have free and fair. Whoever wins the election, and we have a peaceful country, that's what we want. All
right. Let's wind up, of course, focus on the fact that this book will be launched on the 27th of June, is it? When will the launch be taking place? Where, rather? The launch will be taking place at KICC Amphitheater. It's going to be a big thing. I'm kindly requesting Kenyans. Are we expecting Raila Odinga himself there?
Of course. He's going to be there. Patrick Lumumba is going to be there. There are surprises that is going to come in that event, which I'm not willing to talk about.
And then speaking of surprises, give us something. 700 pages. What is one of the most surprising things people are going to find in this book?
The most surprising thing that people are going to find in this book is, do you know that in last election, Raila and Uhuru never reached 50+1? When the Constitution says that you only need to you need to get a threshold of 50+1 to be president. That means President Kenyatta became a president for 5 years unduly. Do you know that?
Does that also mean that Raila Odinga did not win the election?
Neither Raila Odinga or Uhuru Kenyatta won the election.
So how then can you say with such confidence that he was rigged out?
You see, following the evidence that are in this book and the details that are here, you could easily see that even Harvard University Professor Long said in his research that neither Uhuru or Raila Odinga reached 50+1.
All right, well, that is all in Barbara Newton's book. Many thanks for speaking to us. Maybe just your final comment, very briefly, before we wind up.
My final comment is this. Dear Kenyans, just as Kennedy once said, that a country which accepts its most intelligent people is a country which is willing to grow in information. I'm kindly requesting you to buy this book and read it. Wherever you can get it, so that when we meet in the next discussion, you can actually challenge me, they can actually challenge me that you said this, and this is not what happened.
All right, that will be coming with time. Many thanks for speaking to us. Barbara Newton is the author of The Raila Conspiracy, a book that will be launched next week on the 27th of June. Quite a lot of reactions coming in on social media surrounding this book. Many people questioning the credibility of this. So we'll be discussing this in days to come after it is launched. But many thanks for speaking to us. And we'll take a short break here on Weekend Express, where the show is